enlightening, inspirational, powerfully refining, and unapologetically controversial. Conversations with the Royal Empress. The entire world knows the secret of who you are. Now is the time to step into your queendom and become the Royal Empress that you're meant to be. One woman at a time. Conversations with the Royal Empress. Now Akilah, she's the analytical Empress. Hakeemah, she's the Empress that will challenge you. Now, straighten up your crown and be elevated through conversations. Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Welcome back to Conversations with the Royal Empress. This is Dr. Hakeemah, and joining me is my co-host and kindred spirit, Akilah. Also joining us is our spiritual sister and guest co-host, Khetnu Nefer. Now let me tell you a little bit about Khetnu. Khetnu is a Gullah Geechee, holistic health practitioner, Army veteran, uterine cancer survivor. We could stop right there, but I got some more. Though. Licensed massage therapist, writer, dancer, Egyptian yoga instructor, herbalist, certified birth doula. See, we got another doula on Royal Empress podcast today. And she's also a dance instructor and founder of Soulful Touch Wellness Company. This sister do a lot of stuff. She do a lot. Welcome, my sister. How you doing today?
I'm great, ladies. How are you?
Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful topic. This is a powerful topic, and I just knew you had to be on this podcast with us for this topic. Today's topic is the toxic womb, using spirituality to heal thyself of fibroids, infertility, and emotional pain. Woo! That's a powerful topic here.
Yeah, this is a much needed topic. I think a lot of women need to hear about this. So thank you for having me on and considering me worthy enough to share this information. And, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Now, I do know we just had the women's retreat last month, and I recall Hakeemah talking about when you all were in Egyptian yoga class and you talking about the womb, and she was just like, oh, I didn't know all of this stuff about my womb, and Khetnu said this and Khetnu said that. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't get up for yoga this time. So what was you doing, sis? Fill me in what was going on while I was sleeping.
I just was, just being spirit led and just helping, the sisters reconnect or, maintain their connection with their womb, because I feel like it's something that a lot of women don't do. So many women are disconnected from their womb. So, I always utilize any opportunity that I can to help women make that connection or reconnect. So that's all.
I was thinking about that when you say, I understand the connection part, but when we say reconnect with our wombs, do you think that some of us just lose our connection?
Definitely.
And how do we do that? Like, I'm just thinking about, because I feel like I'm connected to my womb, right? But then when you say reconnected, the first thought in my mind was like, man, so I can disconnect from my womb? Like, how would I?
I mean, because when I say disconnect, I mean not recognizing the womb as the powerful tool that it is. Our wombs or our uterus, for those of who may not understand when we say womb, I'm specifically speaking of the uterus and the reproductive system, but more specifically the uterus. Our wombs are our seat of intuition and power as women. And most women only associate their wombs for intercourse, birth, and menstrual cycles. We're not thinking about our using it as a manifestation to seeing it as our creative seat, seeing that it helps us to filter through our different emotions. So when I say make that reconnection, I want you to reconnect to her as an ally and not an enemy. We see our wounds most times as our enemy because you may be dealing with some type of dis-ease, menstrual cramps, heavy bleeding, fibroids, PCOS, infertility, that type of stuff. So you don't see your womb as a magical tool. You see it as, like I say, an enemy. So when I'm asking you to reconnect, I want you to reconnect to her in her greatness and not just at the times when you are at odds with her.
It's interesting because we talked to Andrea, Dr. Doula.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the womb and women wanting to have hysterectomies and, like get rid of their wounds, like they have this because I said it's like an adversarial relationship that they have with their womb. And it is, that's what it sounds like sometimes, that we have this adversarial relationship because you're not taught coming up to embrace it and the power that it holds.
Mm-hmm.
You think if you're not having babies anymore, that there's no more use for it.
Right. And that's not her only function.
Right.
She is a sacred organ, and she's so key to us connecting to our very essence of what womanhood is. And so even when you do have a hysterectomy, she's still there energetically. So she still needs to be honored for her presence and the things that she has done while there physically. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's that disconnection. And now it's so easy to disconnect and remove it and give it away because we're not connected to her. So, it's my hope in my practice to help women to revere their womb, to heal their womb. But it's a process that is not always easy, but something that most women may be ignorant in doing. You know what I'm saying? Like just not knowing that I can connect, that I can have a conversation with her, that I can build and utilize her for things outside of, like I said, intercourse and giving birth and menstrual cycles.
Khetnu, the whole concept of having a conversation, having a relationship with the womb was just like way out there. So, when I came into your Egyptian yoga session, I was like, okay, I love the energy, the vibe. Sister is giving off some great energy. And then throughout the yoga session, I got more and more relaxed. But at the end, you had us meditating, and that's when you were like, okay, you broke down that, we need to reconnect to our womb. We need to talk to her. And I was like, hold up, what? Talk to her, listen to her. What? Like I had never in my life really been taught that and didn't really understand the importance of that. So as we were meditating and I started to really concentrate on your words and listen, it's like I could, what would come to mind, just listen to what my womb was telling me, what was bothering me and what I needed to release. I felt like a new woman after that session. Like I felt revived and just felt enlightened. Like all this time I had neglected her. I spent the whole next couple of days apologizing to my womb of how I neglected her and didn't really have a relationship with her. I thought I was crazy for a minute, but just that connection spiritually with my womb, and then understanding why all those years when I would get angry or have some type of experience, how I would feel after that experience. The anger, the frustration, the pain would really affect me in my womb. I didn't realize that's where all my emotions would go. And when you broke that down, it was like, oh my God, this is the light bulb coming on. I was searching for those answers. So it's like now I understand why my womb felt toxic. At that point, I didn't know it was toxic, but I knew something
Right.
wasn't right. I was like, something's not right. And you know how you can go to the doctor, oh, it's nothing wrong, or it's just this. And I'm like, the doctor can't tell me what's wrong. But when you broke that down, I was like, oh my Lord, that's the issue. Every experience that I have daily, this is where it was set right in my womb, and it was affecting me. But after that session, and I had that conversation with my womb, it was like I felt a release. So I bear witness to the importance of having a conversation with the womb. And I'm so grateful for that, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for being open to it, because I know it does sound weird, and even the first time I heard it, I was like, talk to my womb, why? You know what I'm saying? And when I did have that conversation, my womb was so mad at me, it was so angry, but just tapping into that, I found out why, and it made sense because she relayed everything that was going wrong in my life and how she was the one storing all the negative energy and storing all the trauma. And it just got to a point that she got overwhelmed, and that's where the uterine cancer manifested. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, this is why this is happening, because I'm overwhelmed. I can't deal with this anymore. I've tried to shelter and protect you as much as I can, but now I can't. And so it was like, whoa, having this conversation. And so I made it a point to do that for other women so that they could have that connection, have that conversation, because a healthy womb is constantly sending us energetic messages, and we tend to ignore it because we don't recognize it. We don't have that connection, but we know what a menstrual cramp feels like. We know what heavy bleeding feels like. We know what passing a clot feels like. But why can't we relate to the positive images, the positive messages that come through with our womb? And so when you talked about having that conversation with your womb and the results, and sometimes women get frustrated because they say, well, I had the conversation, she's not saying anything to me. But I like to use the analogy of having a friend that you talk to daily for like a year, and then you just stop talking for no reason, no explanation, all of a sudden, and then you try to reach out again, and she's like, why is she talking to me? She talked to me in over a year. She had nothing to say all this time. Why is she trying to talk to me now? So it's now helping to forge that relationship with your womb. You know what I'm saying? And so don't get mad, but just understand that she's been there for you all along, and you've ignored her. And now when things are dire, now that you got diagnosed with fibroids, you want to come and say, oh, what's wrong? Da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, well, I was telling you what's wrong all the time, but you wasn't answering the phone when I tried to call you. You know what I'm saying? So just think of it in that aspect, so it's not so foreign and so woo-woo crazy. Like, I'm not sitting here talking to this imaginary thing, but she's not imaginary. She is there. That you can physically see your uterus, you know what I'm saying, if you still have it intact, but she's still there energetically if she's gone. So just knowing that you could do that and make that connection and really feel that, and knowing that you can shift so much in your life just by doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important that we make that connection. I can't say that enough, and I want to hammer that in for the listeners so that they know this is not some esoteric out there thing. This is something that they could do tonight or, in the next couple of days, and see a shift in their lives if they're doing it, with the right intention and with, wholeheartedly.
I think it's important for people to know that also when we deal with talking to the womb, how people always, when we talk about affirmations, and people say, oh, well, these affirmations are not working, or this is not working. And I can't find the actual quote, but there's something that I read before that says that basically you can say a lot of things, but if you don't actually in your subconscious mind buy into what you're saying,
right,
then you don't get the results and the response that you're looking for. So you actually have to believe for real what you're saying. You can't just say it. So you have a lot of people that's like, okay, well, they told me all I got to do is write these affirmations. So you can write, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful. But if you subconsciously really don't believe that you're beautiful,
right,
then you can say it till you blue in the face and it's not going to make a difference. So it's the same
Yeah.
difference. If you don't believe that in talking to your womb and you have these doubts, okay, well, they told me to have a conversation with my womb, so I'm going to have a conversation with my womb. But you don't buy into it, then what response do you think you're going to get from your womb?
But what attitude and tone you gonna have when you talk to your womb? Like, is this gonna be a forced interaction? You know what I mean? You know how did somebody force you to go tell them you sorry?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's an attitude with it. So if you're gonna talk to your womb with an attitude, well,
Right.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it ain't good. Like you say, that if the spirit ain't right with the affirmation, it's the same when you're having a conversation with your womb. What's the spirit gonna be like?
Right. And
Yeah.
I like to tell people to even just to how to initiate that is just ask your womb, what is it that you want me to know? And then that could set the tone for how you respond, how she, reacts or whatever. But again, it's just initiating that first step. You know what I'm saying? And I do agree. How you come to her will definitely elicit a certain response. But just knowing that it doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Just asking a simple question. Even if you feel like say if you're dealing with infertility, so to speak, and just say, why am I not conceiving a child? Why am I not holding on? Be prepared for the answer, because it may not be pretty, or it may be just simplistic. You're dealing with too much. There's too much trauma, or I'm not ready. You know what I'm saying? And then look at what may be going on in your life that may make her feel that you're not ready. You may have a toxic workplace. You may have a toxic relationship. So why bring a child into a toxic relationship? You know what I'm saying? You may have a toxic home. So it's so many different permutations that could happen. But the fact is initiating the conversation and just being open-minded enough to hear and receive without judgment what comes back to you. Because I think that's the other point too, because even if you come in with the attitude, you may not be prepared for what may be coming back, because you may come to her with an attitude, but she may come back to you with love. I know you're mad because you don't know what it is that you're supposed to be looking for, but let me tell you, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. I've been supporting you all along, and we're going to get through this toxic relationship. We're going to get through this IVF cycle. We're going to get through the copious amounts of blood that you're releasing from your womb. Like, it's all about being open-minded and willing to receive, and just being able to initiate that without judgment.
It's really huge. And I think your womb can help you to figure out how to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was diagnosed with fibroids when my son was 2 or 3 years old, and he is 19. So they have not grown. I've had no issues whatsoever. Whereas I have friends that are telling me they got to have surgery, people having hysterectomies. I had an ultrasound a few years ago where they were like, "What fibroids are you talking about?" I'm like, "They're there." but they were
Did
almost.
you say they're there?
Yeah, I'm like, "Well, they're there." They told me, yeah. So, but but really what it was is that they were almost undetected. He's like, they're so small that they're almost not noticeable even on the ultrasound.
Yeah, they can shrink.
And
They can actually go away.
yeah,
with the right work. So
yeah.
yeah.
And so, so I understood too that your diet plays a role.
Definitely.
But then if you get quiet and you start to understand that, and, I can't say, oh, I've never had any issues whatsoever, but I don't now. And I have not for a very long time. And I think some of it too had something to do with what I'm thinking, because if somebody tells you, oh, you have fibroids, then you just, oh, I got fibroids. And now you're always talking about these fibroids. But I'll tell you this, Khetnu, and we didn't bring this part up, but you do yoni stings. And vaginal steaming, however we want to, whatever name you want to put out there for it.
Right. Goddess steam, whatever. There's 50,000 names for it now.
Right. But I know that I did that with you last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to do it this year, but I reaped so many benefits from it. And I think I told you that, you know, so sometimes it's just giving her sometimes what she needs for to clear her out is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you definitely have to, you know, process and emotionally cleanse the womb. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why the process of how I do yoni steaming transcends just sitting you on a pot of herbs. We actually have a conversation. I take you through a womb meditation. We do a reading. We get to the source of what's going on, you know, with your womb, so that this is not just a physical cleanse, but it's an emotional and spiritual cleanse for your womb as well, you know. And again, this is the time where some women who've never had the connection with their wombs find a connection. Those who may have had a connection and may have disconnected, they reconnect through the process. And the herbs are your allies, you know. And in my herbal schemes, I do a triple potency. So we dealing with herbs, we're dealing with crystal essences, and we're dealing with flower essences as well in these themes. So we got a triple approach, you know, with that. So we're not just dealing with one prong of what's going on with your womb. And it's so vital with that. And I think this is what people need to know, even when they're choosing to do a yoni steam, is choose a practitioner who is there for your total well-being and not just looking to make money off of something that's fetish and just sitting you on a pot of herbs. Because I've seen people drinking wine while they doing a yoni steam, and I'm like, if you selling this as a detox, why am I ingesting alcohol? You know. So now that we're doing this, why are we not really getting to the source of what's going on with my womb? Why you chose these herbs for me? You know, people choosing blanket steams and they're going on other people's website and stealing formulas, so to speak, but they can't tell these people why you chose lavender for me. Why anybody who's steam with me, they know I tell you the herbs that I use for you, why I chose that herb. Sometimes spiritually I have a formula in mind and spirit makes me change it because it's like, no, she needs this, she needs that. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to get a blanket one size fit all scheme from me. And that's not no ego thing, but I want to help you make that connection. I want you to heal. And so knowing that this is a powerful modality that shouldn't be taken lightly and not done because you saw it on Love and Hip Hop or whatever, but is that you really, really want to make a change in your life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's become so faddish now.
Yes,
and it's disappointing, and that's why I don't advertise it as much. And now it's people who really seeking out the healing that find me and say, "Do you do steaming?" They asking me, "Do you do steam?" You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know this is what this person needs, and I'm the person to help her facilitate that journey. I did a steam today, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just like so powerful because she's a healer in her own right, and she could have gone to, and she knows other people here in the area who does steaming, but she chose me because she was just like, you know, just energetically what I felt, and I just know that you're going to do the due diligence. Like, I know this is going to be an experience for me and not an event. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something that I want to do in a room full of my girlfriends with us drinking wine or whatever they serving, you know, when they're doing these group scenes and stuff like that. And I'm not anti-group scene, but I just want, you know, the listeners to know, like, to take this very seriously because your womb is such a sacred space and you need to treat that with kid gloves. And you know, you just heard Akilah's testimony, you just heard Akilah's testimony that this is something that is life transformative, you know. And so why settle for something that's just going to be something that you can check off your, oh, I did that because it was popular on Instagram list, you know. So
Yeah, your intention is important. And I was just thinking, I was going to say, because you are an actual practitioner, of course you're going, because you don't want to say anything against other practitioners, I'm going to say it for you because I don't do yoni stings for people. And therefore, I don't understand why you would want to do a group yoni steam. So I said it. You don't have to say it, but that's my humble opinion. But because it's such an intimate and private thing, at least from my experience, and it's such an intimate and private thing that to me, I need to be one-on-one with that practitioner. And maybe I'm spoiled because I got my steam with you, Khetnu. And so I can't even imagine somebody trying to sit me somewhere with some other women around, or particularly in they drinking and all of this kind of stuff, because sometimes when you experience something at the highest level, it's very difficult to imagine doing it in a lesser manner. And maybe and again, since I don't do those things, I can say what I want to say because I'm a recipient.
Hey, I agree. I agree with you. At first, it's funny because I had signed up for all these services, right? I just checked every yes for everything, but I was there before the vaginal steaming. I was like, you know what? I'm probably not gonna do it. I'm probably not even gonna do it. But after the Egyptian yoga session, I said, oh, I'm all in because of your spirit. And I'm like, sister, and it's not because this is faddish or not because you know how you have them people, they see what monkey see, monkey do. I want to do this because everybody else doing it. I felt genuine spirit. Your spirit was genuine, and it was very. Even though in the Egyptian yoga session, it was like 4 or 5 of us. But you make everyone in it feel like it's just you and them. So I said, man, if this is the yoga session, what is the vaginal steaming going to be like? And so with the vaginal steaming, I remember before even coming to the retreat, you had me fill out a questionnaire with, questions. And in the questionnaire, you said, these questions are so that I can formulate the right herbs for you, because it's not a one size fit all session. I was blown away by that. It's customized. So of course I can't see, I'm with you, Akilah, I can't see a group session because we don't share the same womb. So how we all gonna have the same formula? We're gonna have the same herbs. It's just not possible for us to sit in a room and go through that journey together, because like with Khetnu, me and you, we went on talking and you were like, so what's going on? Let's talk about it. And I was just pretty much expressing like my job and the stress that I deal with working in the prison and dealing with men and their disrespect. And as we talk together, you helped me figure out that's all that's going to your womb. And I was just like, oh my God. And just in that session, the conversation along with the vaginal statement itself, it was like, my womb was like, see, this is what I've been trying to tell you, girl, but you weren't listening. It was kind of like that feeling was like, all of this I've been holding in and needed to release. And I concur. You cannot go through that as a group, and it's something you need to have. So you mentioned it too, how you have some people will come in the room, they'll sit you in and they'll walk out, like they'll come, I'll be back in about 30 minutes, or hour, whatever. But you took that time to say, I'm going to invest in my client. And I was just like, man, I'm so blessed that my first experience was with you and not with just somebody who's just looking for a transaction. So I agree with everything you're saying, Akilah. It has to be, you can't do this with people who are just in it because it's a fad, or people that's just in it for the money, or the people that mean well, they just didn't do their research, they're not certified herbalists. You need to get with somebody who know what they're doing.
I see.
So big.
That's how I felt. Ashay. Oh, Ashay. That's how I felt in this.
But and that's probably one of the ways, like when women are wondering, well, how do I do it? Maybe these are people who need assistance. And I mean, in bringing it up, I mean, I just thought about it as we were talking, the experience that I had with it. And so this conversation isn't just all about that, but the reality of it is maybe that might be something to help you to get reacquainted with your womb, is to find somebody a practitioner that's a Khetnu, if it can't be Khetnu.
Have Khetnu refer them though. Don't just get with anybody. You tell you Khetnu is the girl, right? Say, Khetnu, you know anybody in my city, girl? I know you know somebody in your network.
I do. I do.
But you want to but you want to get with somebody who can help you because as we're talking about spiritually healing our
Yeah.
wombs. That's, to me,
Yeah.
that's a step in the right direction, because if you do it and there's a spiritual process in doing that, then
Mhm.
somebody can help to guide you on that path to open up and to learn. So that is definitely, to me, a way of definite way of doing it. There's just so many different modalities that we can use to just
Yeah.
help us from a spiritual standpoint to do that
Yeah.
reconnection. And it's something that we definitely are in need of, for real.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's why I said the meditation part is the easiest. You know what I'm saying? You could go and lay in bed right now before you go to sleep and have a conversation with your womb. You could do it in the shower. You could do it on the drive to work. You know, it doesn't take a special. You don't have to be in a special group session or even in a scene to make this connection. Or even on the first day of your cycle, say, "Oh gosh, you know, what's going on? Why are you so crappy today?" Like, just have that conversation, and not as a complaint, but as a general concern. Like, why isn't this a normal day for me during my cycle? This I want to feel what normal feels like. What can I do to ensure that my cycle is normal? How can I appease you so that you're not cramping, you're not, you know, getting rid of all this blood? What can I do? You know, and like I said, be open to the answer and just having that, you know, ability to do that. But there's so many different modalities out there. Reiki is another great way to deal with womb health and spiritual health, because it is such an energetic modality, and it's not, you know, non-denominational, you know, not a religious thing, but it's an energy thing. So you could find a Reiki practitioner and go with the intent of saying, "I'm having some womb issues. I really want to make a reconnection with my womb. Can you help me with this?" You know, you can work with crystals. You could, you know, it's so many different things. Yoga, you know, it's so many different things. But again, you have to want to make that connection and really transform the relationship that you currently have with your womb, and honor her for the sacred thing that she is. And the other part of it too is tapping into your emotions. You know, process your emotions, because again, like I said, she stores all of that. So learning how to deal with your emotions and not bottling things up, and learning how to process your emotions in a healthy way, so that you're not, you know, storing all this negative energy and trauma in your womb, which then manifests into, again, fibroids and, you know, infertility and all these different diseases of the womb, and being able to not give these things power over you anymore, and just being able to let go of that, and spending an evening doing what you need to do, because some women are afraid to cry, you know, and pinning up that type of emotion, it just adds more trauma to your womb, because now it's more stuff that it has to process, as opposed to you just letting out these tears. You know, who cares if you see you cry or how many times you cry at night by yourself? Just let it out, because holding it in is doing more damage than you actually realize.
Nothing like a good cry. I told somebody the
Oh,
other day, tears are cleansing.
yes,
Mm,
they are. They
mm.
are. They really, really are. It's such a necessary thing, and it's your eyes have tear ducts for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why not allow your body to do what it naturally is made to do? You know, and not focus on the outside stuff. You know, and knowing that this is what I need to do to tune into my body and listen to my body and allow it to do what it needs to do in order for me to have balance and harmony in my life.
Khetnu, you have your own personal testimony if you feel like sharing it.
hmm I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a uterine cancer survivor. Um, they were pushing for me to have a hysterectomy. I come from a line of women, generational, who had hysterectomies before the age of 40, and I got diagnosed with the uterine cancer, I was 35, 36 years old. I'm now 44. I'll be 45 in August. And it was such a crazy time for me. I had a lot going on in my life. My ex-fiance got deported. I was working 2 jobs. I was working 7 days a week, massaging between 12 and 15 people, and I'm talking hour massages a day. Just barely making it, just really feeling isolated. Even though I had a village around me, I still felt alone and isolated. And so my womb was just taking in all this stuff, and I was dealing with, the failure of my relationship and looking like a failure, and I'm not making money, and I may have to move back home at 36, back with my mom, and, just, all this stuff. And just, I was at my heaviest, 230 pounds, just going through it and just learning how to formulate a plan for my womb. And it wasn't until I did a womb meditation with this sister out in Arizona on the phone at the laundromat, my clothes in the dryer, and I'm sitting in my truck doing this womb meditation, and I had that conversation with my womb. And I felt like I asked the question. She gave us the question. She was like, I want you to have a conversation with your womb, and I want you to ask your womb, what is it that I need to know? And I did it. She made us put our hands over our womb, and I said, what is it that you want me to know? And I felt like this immense heat like I've never felt before. And I've been near some really hot fires in my life. I'm a country girl. And like in my womb. And she was so like mad at me. That's why I was like, use that analogy. It was like, oh, so now you want to have a conversation? Really? So you can ignore me all the time? I had a cycle for 6 months, and I'm talking like pee on yourself blood. Like I ended up having to have a blood transfusion. I lost so much blood in my body. And going through all of that, and my womb was like, you taking care of everybody else. You go out of your way to do this and that and this and that, but you don't take care of you. What about you? And all that blood that you shed, that was my tears for you. I was crying for you. I was trying to let you know that you need to take care of you. Who's going to take care of you?
That's deep.
I almost died trying to take care of other people and worrying about what people thought about me and just struggling when I didn't have the struggle. And, so many of these internal things that we as women tend to do on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? And that literally transformed my life. I just remember crying in my truck, waiting for my clothes to dry, listening to this guided meditation with this woman I didn't know from Adam on the phone all the way in Arizona. And, it was just like, wow, I had no idea. I knew I was sick. But, they were like, well, I don't know where it comes from. And granted, cancer is very pervasive in my family. I lost all 4 of my grandparents to some form of cancer. So it was like, I felt like, well, this was a generational thing. It could eventually happen to anybody in my family or whatever. I guess now is my turn, But I learned that I inherited generational habits, holding things in, doing for people, and not taking care of me. And these are stuff that we learn, habits that we see and we inherit, you know what I'm saying? And it's something that I was like, so I decided at that moment that I was going to break this generational curse. I'm not going to lose my womb. I'm not going to be the next one to lose my womb before 40 or by 40. I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to save my womb, and that's what I did. And I started exercising. I started changing my diet. I moved back home to South Carolina, and and just really started digging deep and looking and unpacking all this stuff. My parents got divorced when I was 7. Was holding on to that at 36. You know what I'm saying? Like all this different stuff that was coming up that I didn't know that I had compacted into my womb, to the point that my womb was like, enough. And so dealing with the infertility and like I said before, that's one of the things that I learned. It was like, I had no room in my womb for a baby. Where was a baby going to go when I was dealing with mama drama and parents divorce and bad relationships and not worthiness and ill-paid jobs, all that other stuff? Where was a child going to fit in that? So it was like, what can I do now? And I've pretty much had almost any procedure that you can think of done to your womb, pretty much, except for cesarean. Like, I've had cryotherapy where they literally freeze your uterus. They actually make a snowball inside of your uterus. And I've had that done to me twice. I've had DNCs. I've had all kinds of stuff done to my womb. So dealing with that trauma, being invaded medically, and so it was just like, how can I heal this? And how can I help at least one person in my lifetime not go through a tenth of what I've been through? And so that's why I decided to transform my practice into a women's only practice and helping other women to heal themselves, because I don't feel like I'm a healer. I'm a facilitator of healing. I help you heal yourself because, like Sister Kira said earlier, is like, if you don't have it in your mind that you want to shift and change and heal this, it's not going to happen. I can give you all the herbs and affirmations and meditations and all that other stuff, but until you decide that enough is enough and you want to change and you want to shift and you want to heal, it's not going to happen. So I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I shifted that, and still healing, you know what I'm saying, from it. But at the same time, I'm not where I was, and I'm in a great place now because I do have a connection with my moon. I can tell you the moment I started ovulating, I can tell you when my cycle was about to come on. It's like clockwork now, and this was somebody who didn't have a cycle for months. I went from having cycle for 6 months to not having none at all, to having to take medication to bring it back and doing all this other stuff, and then got into a beautiful relationship and started being regular on my own just because of his healing energy and connecting with someone who wanted my best interest at heart, who wanted to help me heal, and having that balance of that masculine energy, and that's a whole nother show. But you know what I'm saying? So it's just knowing what it is that you need to do and being open and willing to do it and doing the work. And that's why, like I said before, it's so easy for women to surrender their womb, because it's easier to have somebody just take it out than for you to do the work. And so I would just surrender it instead of me reliving this pain, see where I could have shifted, things that I could have done, things that could have changed in order for me to move on and not hold on to this. Or cut this cord from this bad relationship. Or, you know what I'm saying? Change my diet. Do some exercise. It's too easy to just say, oh, cut it out. But they're not realizing that you still can get fibroids without a uterus.
Wow.
See?
You still can get pregnant without a uterus. Let's keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? You still can get STDs without a uterus. So if you're not aware of what it is that this tool is and what you need to do to protect yourself 360, physically, mentally, and spiritually, because you have to think about your environment, your relationships, your job, all of that factors into your womb. So, taking that all into account, and I shifted all of that and started the healing process, and now I help to facilitate women to do the same thing for themselves.
How long have you been cancer free?
10 years.
You said 10 years?
10 years.
10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This year,
congratulations. All praise to you alone, sister. That you could, everyone don't survive cancer. So it's a blessing that you're here on this call right now, on this podcast, saying I survived, and then this is how I overcame it. So,
and I healed naturally. It wasn't, we caught it early. So I didn't need chemo and stuff like that, but it came back twice, and so it was like, but again, I was still dealing with the emotional stuff. And that's what I learned. As soon as I started unpacking all that emotional stuff, those things went away. It wasn't always the medical interventions that I needed. It was the cancerous thoughts and the toxic people and foods and environments that I was in that was feeding that. And once I shifted that, my health and my life shifted. So it wasn't that, it was a miracle, because my doctors would be like, they'll tell you to this day, like, I don't know what she did or what, just because they were really pushing for me to have a hysterectomy, and that's why I moved back to South Carolina when I was living in Miami. And I went to a doctor who was a Muslim sister, and she was like, "No, I'm not doing no hysterectomy on you." My gynecologist was like, "No, we're gonna do this, and this, blah 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 blah." And I told her, I'm all about natural protocol. She's like, "Okay, well, let's do that too." But that's what I manifested. That's what I wanted. I said, I want to do things naturally, and those things came into place. But I set that intention, and like Akilah said, I felt it real. I didn't think of no other outcome. I didn't doubt myself. I didn't put it out there with, half-intended energy. It was like, I'm going to heal, and I'm going to get all the proponents that I need to facilitate this with me. And it happened. So, it's a process, and I'm not telling anybody today that, this will happen for you right away, but it was a shift, and it happened over a number amount of years, and even 10 years later, I'm still not at 100%, but I'm nowhere near where I was, because I was having to get pap smears every 3 months and all this other stuff just to make sure, and getting biopsies, uterine biopsy. Is no fun. They literally clip a piece of your uterus, and they just give you a local anesthetic. They don't put you to sleep for that. So you feel that. And I've had that done more than once. You know what I'm saying? But, and had it done one time, the very first time I had it done, I was still working. And as a massage therapist, I don't know if people notice it, but we don't get PTO and all this other stuff. So I had that done and went back to work because I had to. But that was the poverty mentality or lack mentality that I had. Like, I didn't even think enough of myself to just have this surgery where this people just clipped a piece of my uterus off and going back to work in pain. But it was just like, this is what I had to do to survive, which wasn't my truth.
See?
And so, doing that self-care piece and thinking about why didn't I think it was worthy enough of me to take time off and rest? Those people's job was going to be there tomorrow. If they fired me, oh well, so be it. But my health was first and foremost. But I wasn't thinking that. So that's why I tell women, like, it ain't too much that y'all can give me as excuses that I haven't thought of or done myself when it comes to womb healing. So when people throw it at me, I'd be like, okay, well, I heard that too. I'm been through that. Okay, let me tell you about this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like when y'all talk about my energy and my conviction, is because I can relate. I didn't read about this in a book. It wasn't on a blog. I'm telling you from my firsthand experience, because I've been there and I've done that, and I got the T-shirts. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but that's why it's so important that I'm grateful for that y'all are doing this and having this conversation so that people can hear this and know that this is possible, that it is a viable source, and this is something that we have to do. It needs to be a priority.
It is. I like that saying. What is the sister that says self-care is the from Girl Trek? What's the saying that you?
Oh, it's self-care is a radical act of self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And we got to love ourselves enough to take care of this sacred organ that we have. Or as you say, even if it's not physically there, the spirit of it is still there. She's still there.
Yeah. She's still
and
there.
So there's still that connection. It doesn't go away. But there's still so much power in that. And I think we don't get it. When you were talking about the medical procedures, I was going to say it's interesting because I think every woman can relate to, no matter how many times we've had a pap smear done, it's still a very uncomfortable feeling. Because it feels like something is invading your space. You just reminded me of that when you're talking about, going through all these processes. And it is. And it's like, why does that, make us feel a certain way, regardless? But it does. It's like it's a foreigner, something
right.
foreign going in just even the whole process of the taking the cells or just, doing the pap smear. It's all a very uncomfortable, invasive feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the medical field is so patriarchal. They don't,
Right. Right.
the society doesn't respect women. So of course the medical practice, the medical field is practice is not going to respect women. So that invasion I'm sure it's our womb saying, this is someone who does not mean us well. And this whole
Right.
process don't mean us well. So it's not a spiritual approach to even caring or even evaluating the womb. It's all patriarchal and it's just not good, at least for me. It
Yeah.
don't
And
feel right
it's funny that
spiritually.
when you say that, because funny thing for me was going through everything with my womb, I found that it was the female gynecologists that were a lot rougher and harsher with me than the male gynecologists. The male gynecologists were a lot more nurturing
Yes.
and and all of that. And so when you said that about the patriarchal thing, it's so funny because I felt like the women were very rough through my pap smears. The women were very rough when I was dating. I remember the very first time when I had that uterine biopsy, I asked my doctor because I had never had children, I've never been pregnant or anything like that. So I said, well, what does it feel like? And I'm going through this process by myself, mind you. Like I didn't have any support around me. I went to the doctor by myself to get this uterine clipping. And I was very scared and alone and afraid. And I said, well, what does it feel like? This woman said to me, well, my patients who've had children equate it to a contraction. How does that help me? I don't have children. I've never had a kid. So you giving me that analogy does what for me? And it was just like, what? I don't know what a contraction feels like. What does that do for me? Whereas when I had it done again with a male doctor, and I told him about that situation or whatever, he was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? How callous is that? You know what I'm saying? Especially with a woman who's dealing with fertility issues on top of that. So it was just like, it was very interesting to see the differences when it comes to that. And it made me, in retrospect, think like, what was her connection like with her womb? You know what I'm saying? For
Oh,
her
that's
to
a
be
good
so,
question.
frigid and things to me, dealing with mine and in a very traumatic experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't no everyday occurrence. So you think about a pap smear, that uterine biopsy is like a pap smear on 10,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we shift that? But one of the greatest tools that I had is there is a medical doctor that I absolutely love. Her name is Dr. Christy Northrup, and she is a women's health advocate. Even though she's a medical doctor, but she does uh, straddle both the allopathic and the natural medicine line, and she does a lot of the metaphysical stuff as well. And I remember reading her book. She has a book called Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, in which every woman should own a copy of, because she talks about dealing with the physical and emotional health and healing when the body, but especially from womb issues. And she had a thing in there where for women who were getting procedures done to your womb and stuff like that, to say different affirmations and different things to kind of counteract that patriarchal feeling or feeling of being invaded or traumatic or whatever to help initiate that. And I remember I want to say there's a meditation or something she has in here for when you're going through medical procedures. And during my last CNC, I recorded that meditation in my voice, and I asked the doctor, can I listen to that during my procedure? Granted, I was, put under, but I was listening to it so it could be programmed into my subconscious. And I healed a lot quickly because of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. There's so many different tools that we could use to counteract these different things that we may deem as traumatic or, invasive and all of that to use to heal our wounds and to make that connection. And it made a difference, So these are some of the things that I, try to tell my clients and incorporate into their healing regimens so that they know that it isn't a one size fit all thing, and what works for me may not work for you. because we are on different spiritual paths and things like that. But you knowing that there's something out there to help assist you to make that connection with your womb and to help her to heal and grow and so that you can have, because even when it comes to menopause, like most symptoms that women have with menopause are not normal. Hot flashes and all that other stuff, that's not a normal phenomenon. And that's not every woman's truth when they're going through menopause, but it talks about the deficiencies and things that's going on in the body. But if you don't have that connection and that information, then you taking what society has told you. You're supposed to have hot flashes. You're supposed to have vaginal dryness. You're supposed to have all that other stuff, and that's not true when it comes to menopause, because that's not everybody's truth when they're going through menopause. So again, it's about educating yourself and applying these natural tools and remedies so that you can lead a healthier lifestyle, and especially when it comes to healing your womb.
I think we've probably reached a point in our podcast where we should. Hakeem was laughing.
You ready for these challenges? That's what
Fired up and ready to challenge the sisters about what?
Ooh, boy. You know what? I was like just thinking of challenges, and I'm like, the only challenge that really need to be made is know thyself and get to know your womb. Everything else will fall in place after that. I mean, just everything that you said, Khetnu, just from beginning to this podcast to now, is everything could be rectified if we just only reconnect with our womb and listen. And we have to redefine what a strong woman is. A strong woman got to be that woman that reconnects with the God within. Draw from the power of the womb. We have to. We're looking externally to replenish ourselves, and that hasn't been working. So we need to redefine what a strong woman is. So those are my two challenges for today. Man, I'm speechless, really. I mean, it was so wealth of information that was said. The energy is just so high. My womb is talking. That's it. I'm trying to listen to my womb. See, that's why I ain't saying much, Khetnu. I'm usually, Akilah got to be, little girl, be quiet. I want to say something. See, I normally be just talking, but I've been really trying to listen. Akilah, I know you like about time. But Khetnu, it has been a pleasure having you on, my sister, from the day I met you. I've just felt your healing spirit, and even in your absence, you are still with me. The wisdom that you impressed on me I still have it. I utilize it every day. I am just so grateful that I met you and had a chance to feel your healing power. I know you don't consider yourself a healer. You say you facilitate healing, but girl, you a healer to me. You know what I mean? So what I want to do is give you your last word and also let everybody know how they can contact you. So just go ahead and just give us a little bit more, Khetnu. Come on now.
Well, thank you so much. I am so humbled and honored that you see me in that light, and that, my purpose in life is to be authentic and walk in my authenticity and just be the light that I can be to help other women find that inner voice and that inner strength to do what it is that they need to do to bring their life into what I call a soulful life, and finding that balance and harmony in whatever it is that they're trying to achieve with their health and wellness, mind, body, and spirit. So thank you both for allowing me to share my passion and my beacon with your podcast listeners. You can find me pretty much on every social media platform for the most part. I'm a Soulful Touch Wellness on Instagram and a Soulful Touch on Facebook. And my website is asoulfultouch.com. And if you just need to have a conversation, you can always give me a call at area code 843-564-2464.
Thank you, sis. Y'all better utilize that number. I'm telling you, y'all better follow sister on Facebook, Instagram. Every time she posts something, I'll be like, Okay, here goes some more spiritual food. I need to get it from my sister. So thank you so much. Everybody be on the lookout because we're going to post a bio and picture of Khetnu like we do of all our co-hosts. So before we even release the podcast, we always do that. So get to know our guests even before you even listen to them. But be on the lookout for Khetnu's bio and picture to be posted on our Conversations with Royal Empress Facebook page. Okay. As I say always, thank you always for tuning in every week to listen to us. And you are appreciated and loved. And peace and blessings.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. Tune in next week for another enlightening conversation. For more information on the Royal Empress, please visit the website royalempress.org. You can also follow the Royal Empress on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Conversations with the Royal Empress is a subsidiary of the Royal Empress organization. All rights reserved.